Freya Leach is a figure some will know all too well, whilst others would have no idea who she is at all. Sky News really astroturfed her into the mainstream, believing that this young conservative woman who was already very open about her politics whilst in university, and had already been pre-selected for the Liberal seat of Balmain, would be an ideal voice to push their conservative agenda. At only 22 years old, Freya is already the director of the Centre for Youth Policy inside the Menzies Research Centre, a Liberal-aligned think tank, attempting to ensure that young Australians connect with the Liberal Party. She's not doing the best on that front, but in her defense, that is not an easy job at the moment. Freya landed her own show, Freya Fires Up, which promised to tackle controversial topics with no holds barred. It was a favorite of mine. I recall watching the debate between Freya and Purple Pingers and really being grateful that I had the ability to just turn my phone off. I was excited to sit down and watch all of this content, to binge it before making this video, but I can't do that anymore, because unfortunately, not only has the show been ripped from the air almost as quickly as it started, but all prior episodes are also unavailable due to one horrific interview we're going to unpack today. In the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination, two of the greatest minds known to man were brought to give their takes about political violence. Neither Australian, by the way, one of which wasn't even American. This is an Australian debate show, right? I have understood the concept of this show correctly. No? Ryan William, also known as the Scottish Korean, has a huge following online for really just posting anti-Islam reels. That's not hyperbole. If you just scroll his account, that's what you will see repeatedly. There is zero universe, unless the casting agent just did not bother to look at his account, that you would not notice this. Producers at Sky seem to have knowingly invited on someone who had this very vicious, overtly anti-Islam rhetoric. Ironically, to talk about the dangers of political violence. The other guy being interviewed, Joey Mannarino, also has a large following on Twitter for posting anti-Islam rhetoric, as well as anti-vax rhetoric and election denial conspiracies, alongside tweets about Kamala Harris only being where she is today because of her blowjob skills. He tried to hide the fact he posted that, deleting a tweet after it was found by the ABC, but after a quick synonym search, I managed to find another. It's always good when the voice of anti-political violence is actually one of the main figureheads in the United States ratcheting up the violence. Again, there was no way to miss this if you spent even 5 minutes actually looking through these people's accounts. And a quick aside, given that the concept of Freya Fires Up was about these controversial debates and topics, shouldn't there have been someone who was left-wing on this episode? These two people already agree with each other. What am I getting out of this? What insights am I learning here? Hey, bring Purple Pingers on. At least he would have said something controversial, I'm sure. So, Freya asked a question about their opinion on political violence, and unprompted, we got this.
The reason I've got bacon on my shoulders is because the terrorists are a charming lot, and they threaten to behead me every single day. So a little bit of protection.
But I've got to say, I'm from the UK. We have the threat nearly every single day from Islam invasion. Our second biggest city, Birmingham, is already majority Muslim. Our mayor of London is Muslim. And the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is Muslim.
I just have a very clear, simple message to Muslims, which is stop worshipping a pedo warlord who's the Bonnie Blue of the 7th century, sleeping with 30 Al Zoot men, who married a six-year-old and slept with a 9-year-old. And there's only one culture that pours acid on women's faces. There's only one culture that makes women cover their faces so other men don't read them.
Sorry, what was the question again? Wasn't it about political violence related to Charlie Kirk? Why are we talking about Birmingham? That's also not true. By the way, if you're curious, he just pulled those stats out of thin air. Birmingham is not majority Muslim, and the Muslim mayor whom people are trying to tout as an extremist Sharia law supporter is actively trying to open more bars to boost the economy. I don't know where these people are getting this from other than their own imagination to create things to be afraid of. What are we talking about here? Aside from the innate bigotry in and of itself, removing all nuance and this attempt to frame Islam as this uniquely horrible religion, when the reality is all of the major religions have some pretty horrible things that don't stand up to today's standards. The shtick is embarrassing. He sellotape bacon to his shoulders so he can make this bit about it warding off Muslims like it's garlic to a vampire. What's even more concerning is that a Sky News staffer from Perth actually helped him arrange the bacon on his shirt, although it did come out later that they were just a technical staffer who didn't have any involvement or awareness of who the guest was or what his intentions were. I almost feel bad for Freya. You can in real time see her start to panic, and rightfully so. To her credit, she does attempt to push back on what this strange man has said, and it is a fairly decent response at first.
I think it's important to preface that by saying that the majority of Muslims don't support that.
But unfortunately, off camera, I think someone activated her like a sleeper soldier, and the spirit of Rupert Murdoch burst out of her, and she felt compelled to make this both sides argument.
Here in Australia, at least, we've got some great moderate Muslims, but I think it's up to them to condemn the elements of the culture or the religion that are more extreme.
The guy's taken off the air, and thankfully we don't have to listen to him again. However, he already posted the content to Instagram and it racked up millions of views. The following evening, we got a more direct apology from Freya, and Sky News itself released a statement about the incident saying they were sorry and would conduct an internal review. The result of that review was that on the 29th of September, Freya Fires Up was officially pulled off of Sky News, with Freya staying with Sky as a co-host for the late debate. Concerningly though, the ABC investigated how this could have happened, and not only did a producer send a list of guests to head of programs James Birtles, but Birtles also CC'd in Paul Whitaker, Chief Executive Officer. This wasn't a rogue, inexperienced producer making an oopsie. This was a major failure from the higher-ups at Sky. What are these people's jobs if not to ensure stuff like this does not happen? Sky News already had to alter its vetting process after interviewing a far-right extremist back in 2018, so what happened here? This was entirely avoidable, and it should not be a shock to anyone who has looked at this guy's content. He does the bacon bit all of the time. You had to see this coming, and if you didn't see it coming, why? How? It's the bare minimum level of research I would expect from a news organization. It doesn't instill me with much confidence that Sky seems to be allowing these people to talk in front of hundreds of thousands of people without doing the bare minimum check on what are the things they believe. And to put my woke hat on for a second, I'm not sure this would have happened if Freya was a man. Remember when Sky interviewed that far-right extremist? The host and show were put on a pause just like Freya's, but they were back 2 months later. And in that case, the host, Andrew Giles, invited the extremist himself. It wasn't even a producer doing it. In the case of Giles, sponsors also dropped out, so it was a bigger controversy than what Freya's actually was. Don't get me wrong, I don't like Freya's politics, and I don't think we're particularly losing anything from the show not being on air anymore, but it feels weird. And unless some new damning evidence comes out, it really feels like she is being thrown under the bus. And I don't know if that would have happened if it was a young, up-and-coming male reporter. I just feel like she's being scapegoated. But hey, come join the Discord, come talk about it, come say hi, come let me know anything in the comments, like and subscribe. It's been real.